Day 2 of making the pies. Our dough is chilled overnight, so now we're going to work on rolling that out. I'm going to use what's called a pie bag for this. All right, it will help contain the mess. It's non-stick, so you won't get gooey dough everywhere. And as some of you found out last week, you can make an epic mess with flour, so we want to avoid that. All right, on the bottom here, after I unzip the bag, I want to put just a teeny bit of flour. That's all I need. I'm just going to spread that out a little bit. I'm going to take one of my discs, put that in the middle, and then take just a really little bit on the top there. That's all I need to put as far as flour goes. I'm just going to work it out a little bit with the heel of my hand. Okay. Now I'm going to zip the bag up. And I'm ready for my rolling pin. Okay, just like with the pizza, you're going to start in the middle and work your way out. You don't need to push down real hard on it. You just want to gently roll out. And I'm just going to spin the bag around a little bit, making it easier on me. I'm not going to roll all the way to the edges. I don't want my dough to get stuck in the zipper to begin with. All right, but I'm going to get fairly close. So that you have about maybe an inch, inch and a half around the outside. All right, I'm just going to check that against. All right, it should be a little bit wider because we have to account for the edges. And now we're going to get ready to take this out of the bag and put it into the pie pan. All right, let's see how we did. We're going to go ahead and unzip the bag. All right, we want to just gently peel back the bag. And again, see how nicely that comes off? I'm just going to flip it over now so I can gently peel it off the other side. Voila! Now there are some recipe books, cookbooks, pie making methods, pie shows that'll show you fancy ways of getting into the pie plate, like rolling it around the rolling pin and unrolling it. Really, unless you have a lot of practice with that, it's going to wind up making a big mess. So all we're going to do is just gently pick it up. Since we already peeled it off once before, it comes off pretty easily, and set it down in the middle of the pie plate. Okay? And we want to kind of gently work it in. You don't want to push on it because that may cause a tear in the middle. Just kind of want to almost push on the edges and dip it in. Okay. So now we got something that looks kind of like a taco salad shell here. I'm going to smooth out some of the wrinkles. And you'll notice we have this overhang. What I want to do is just fold over that overhang. So we want the top of our crust to be a little thicker because it's the top edge that's going to be exposed to the heat. The rest of it won't get as much heat action. So you want the top edge to be thicker so that it doesn't burn while it's cooking. All right, and we're going to fold around the entire edge. Okay. All right. You can just kind of squish along the edges to make it a little even, because in some places you'll have it so that it's thicker or thinner. You're just going to do that all the way around until it's fairly even. Alright, so once you've folded over those edges, you have a couple options of how you want your pie to look. You can just leave it in what's called an upstanding ridge around. Alright, if you want to make it a little fancier, you could take 2 sets of fingers and just pinch in all the way around. That will give it kind of a scallop zigzag edge. If you do that all the way around, you might have to go back and pinch it in just a little bit more. So we're getting a nice little zigzag. Or if you want to do a different kind of decorative edge, you can just press down on the edge with a fork. And that's going to leave just a pretty little decoration there while you bake it. Choose one or the other. Now that we have the dough laid out in our pie pan, what we need to do before baking it is we're going to poke some holes in it. So we're going to take just a fork and we're going to poke several holes in the bottom. Okay, and then we're also going to poke holes along the sides. This is so while it's baking it doesn't start to bubble up, all right, and poof up. We don't want that to happen. Okay, so I'm just going to poke all the way around the edges. There we go. Okay. All right, you don't need to do the very rim of it, just the sides and the bottom. Right? We want to do that to all of the pie crusts. Okay, we're just about ready to bake. We're going to cover the cookie sheet with foil and put all of our pie pans onto the same cookie sheet and put them in at the same time. Now you notice 2 of mine aren't filled because I didn't want to waste dough just for a demonstration. Alright, we want to keep them close together, but do make sure that they are not touching each other. Time to bake our pies. So, as usual, we're going to wear our oven mitts. Make sure that you pull the oven door all the way open. We've been cutting this corner and a lot of you are getting close to nailing your elbows on it. Okay? Using 2 hands, let's take your pies, gently scoop them into the oven. Make sure it gets all the way into the middle. Close the oven door. And we're going to bake these for 10 to 12 minutes until they turn a golden brown color. As someone begins to roll out the pie crust, someone else can be working on the pudding filling. So the 2 ingredients we're going to need for this will be your 2 cups of milk, measured out in your liquid measuring cup, and the pudding mix. Okay. So I still have this in the package here. I just want to warn you that when you open it, make sure first of all the powder's all the way down towards the bottom, and don't just rip it open because then the pudding mix is going to go all over and make a big mess, and you'll have to clean that up and have less pudding, which will be very sad. Okay, so we're just going to carefully empty the pudding mix into the bowl. Okay, we're going to put the wrapper, make sure we get all of it. Put the wrapper into your garbage bowl. We're just going to pour in our milk. Get that washed up. Alright, you're going to use your whisk, and we're just going to whisk this here. Okay, you want to be careful that you're not going crazy and getting pudding mix all over the place. It's going to take about 2 minutes for you to whisk it so it gets all incorporated. You're going to have some lumps on the bottom. You want to make sure you get the edges. Okay, and every once in a while you're going to want to take your rubber scraper and scrape down the edges. Okay, see how I'm getting all that powder and the lumps that are on the side there? Okay, scrape that in there so I'm not missing any of it. Right, now I'm just going to keep whisking until I have no powder and no lumps left. Ta-da! All stirred in, no lumps, all ready to be chilled overnight so it'll thicken a little bit more. Now this is a really big bowl for such a small amount of pudding. We needed to put it in the big bowl to begin with so when we were mixing together it wouldn't get everywhere. But for overnight we're just going to go ahead and scoop that out into one of our little bowls. Now after you get it into the little bowl, all we need to do is cover it with foil and go ahead and label it with your class hour. So if you're in 3rd hour, 3 would be fine. If you're in 8th hour, obviously you would put down an 8. Right? Once you've done that, just take it covered and labeled and leave it on the table. Remember, students are not to go into the refrigerator for any reason, even if you're just trying to be helpful. Here we have a cooked pie dough. Now you may be just a little poofy in the middle, so just take the back of a spoon and gently press down. Alright, and now we're going to let that cool for a few minutes.